Hi, my name is Mick Doherty, and I'm pleased to collaborate with ArtMax Academy on this community service project. My task today is to share with you just a little bit about this instrument we have down here called the hammer dulcimer. Ha! Snuck a tune in on you there. The Minuet in G. It's a very useful tune for exploring the tuning scheme of the American hammer dulcimer. The dulcimer I'm playing was built by Dusty Strings in Seattle. It's their D670 model. And I'm playing it with hammers built by my friend Rick Fogel. These are two-sided hammers. They have a leather side and a wooden side. So with no further ado, we'll get to the next segment. I'll explain to you how the dulcimer is set up, and eventually we can get to exploring how the minuet sits within that tuning pattern that I will now, hopefully, explain incredibly clearly. So here we go. I had a bright idea to change the lighting on the dulcimer with this light bulb to help demonstrate the tuning pattern of the dulcimer. I've got a little gleam on these strings, which can be kind of hard to see against the grain of the wood. The gleam is to show that the way the dulcimer is tuned, and I realize you're getting kind of half of my face and half of the dulcimer here, so bear with me. This hopefully will make some sense. All right, so we have strings on two planes. The strings on this dulcimer are set up in two-string courses. These strings are coming up from a little side bridge here, up over this bridge called the treble bridge, and they go clear over through this other bridge, it's called the bass bridge. They pass through it without touching, and go to another little side bridge down here. So this bridge divides the instrument in 3/5 and 2/5, or it divides the strings in 3/5 and 2/5 of its overall length, which gets us do, re, mi, fa, sol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the instrument is tuned in whole step, half step, which gets us that same scale that I just sang out of tune. And because the instrument is tuned a fifth across the bridge, these same courses have the other four notes of my scale on the other side of the bridge. So, a major scale. Now, what about these other strings down here, you're asking? These strings that are gleaming over here, you can tell they're at a different angle. This string and this string are parallel, this course and this course, but they don't intersect. They go all the way across the instrument. This one goes through, this one goes over this bridge. They come over here, and now this string goes over the bridge and this string goes through the bridge. So one set of strings crosses the bass bridge, and the other set of strings crosses the treble bridge. The strings that cross the bass bridge are quite a bit longer, so they're tuned at a lower pitch. In fact, a fifth below the right side of the treble. So I have this C here, and over here I have an F. And the relationship is again a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an easier key for me. And the same pattern of whole step, half step is repeated on this bridge so that I can get the rest of that scale on the right side of this other bridge. So in effect, I have a little chunk of a circle of fifths here. I have F to C. Now, when we go down each bridge, that same pattern of half step, whole step continues downward. Half step, whole step, whole step. And if you'll notice, there are little white bridge caps here. Those help me mark my next major scale. In this case, the key of G. Same pattern happens on the bass bridge. Whoops, I missed one. Key of F, down to the key of C. And curiously, we already had an octave of C up here, so now I have 2 octaves. This is middle C, almost tuned to middle C. Key of middle C, the key of C starting at middle C, up 2 octaves, all arranged in a nice little pattern. If I continue downward, I get the key of G. And again, I have 2 octaves. And when I continue downward on the treble bridge, halfway down this G scale, what do you know? I get the D scale. So what I have here is a circle of fourths. C, G, D. So no sharps, 1 sharp, 2 sharps. And curiously, if you continue on this larger instrument, key of A with 3 sharps, key of E with 4 sharps. Okay, and of course the same pattern continues down here. If I can hit them right while I'm hunkered over so, I can look at you. Okay, so that's the basic tuning pattern of the hammer dulcimer. Now, in a moment, I'll show you again how we apply that to the minuet. Okay, we've got the camera pointed down at the dulcimer so I can play you 2 octaves in the key of G. And I can play the minuet starting off just using the top octave, playing 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 1. I'm using the numbers of my 8-note scale. 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 1. All of that's just using these first 8 notes of the scale. And then I'll eventually, right here, in fact, drop down below the 1 or the 8 to the 7. Then I'll drop to the lower octave again to play 2 notes at once there, a low G and a high D, an octave and a fifth apart. Sorry. That's how I play it. I fluffed it up on that first video. If you back up, you'll see that when you rewatch it, if you choose to, that I start off with arpeggiated chords. Arpeggio is a Latin word, I believe, meaning harp-like. So with the dulcimer, since we only have the 2 sticks, we try to play 3 or 4 notes quickly to express a chord. In this case, I chose 4 notes out of my G major chord. And I do the same thing for the C chord. Then I played a series of 2 notes at once. Another higher arpeggio. that's how I played the minuet. So there you have it. We've discussed the tuning pattern of the dulcimer, applied it somewhat to a relatively simple tune, the minuet in G, and I kind of explained to you how the keys relate to each other, at least a first look at the dulcimer. I'll make a couple more videos that show a little more about how this larger Dusty Strings D670 dulcimer is set up, and some of the other interesting features, and some of the, I didn't even get into some of the lower notes, so we'll get into that in a couple more videos. All right.